Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your full moon lunar eclipse Vedic astrology video for this May 15th and 16th, 2022. In this Vedic astrology video, I'm going to go over the energies at play for this potent and powerful full moon eclipse happening right on the cusp of Libra, sidereal Libra, and Scorpio in the nakshatra of Vishaka Nakshatra. It is also the very auspicious Buddha Purnima. It is the full moon under which the Buddha was said to have gained enlightenment. So how is this full moon eclipse going to play out for you? Well, let's get started. All right, so this full moon eclipse happening in the sidereal sign of Scorpio. Now, it's a little bit confusing because Rahu and Ketu, the nodes which cause the eclipses, have actually shifted out of Taurus and Scorpio, right? They just recently shifted back in April, and now they have moved into the signs of Aries and Libra. And the last solar eclipse we had was indeed in the sign of Aries. So why is this full moon? Why is this eclipse falling in Scorpio? Well, this is the full moon of Scorpio, and the moon is just going to be entering into the sign of Scorpio. It's going to be like at approximately 1 degree Scorpio when this eclipse occurs. Now, Ketu has already moved into Libra. So it's quite the combination between others and our subconscious or unconscious beliefs, deep rooted beliefs about ourselves. Now, the moon, according to Vedic astrology, gets debilitated in Scorpio at precisely 3 degrees Scorpio. So this moon is actually going to be full and eclipsed, moving into its debilitation degree. Now we have to remember that the moon moves very quickly, right? So what does this signify? Now, it's very interesting because if you remember, about 1.5 years ago, I did a video on Rahu and Ketu moving into the signs of Scorpio and Taurus and what this is going to bring about. And basically what it indicates is deep subconscious and unconscious fears, beliefs, judgments about ourselves that we've pushed down or either been conditioned to believe and we've pushed down to swallowed. In the Vedas or in Vipassana meditation, if any of you are familiar with Vipassana meditation, it is called the samskaras, right? Those deep karmic imprints that we're not even aware that we are carrying and acting out of, and in turn creating our lives from. So this is a very powerful moon which can, if you are practicing any kind of self-awareness practices to help you to evolve in a spiritual way, to liberate yourself from these unconscious tendencies and beliefs and thought patterns, right? If you're working on this actively, you're going to see it happen. When it happens, when you see some old story coming up, when somebody triggers you because somebody, something, either a relationship or friendships or people at work, it's going to trigger some old wound about how you view yourself and in turn how you view the world. And this wound is going to come up for you to view it in order for you to realize that it's running you. so that you can heal it. Now, why do I say it's going to be triggered by a friend or people at work or a relationship? Because Ketu is in Libra, which is the sign of the others. Now, Ketu is much like a seed, whereas Rahu is more like a sprout, right? Rahu is very outward directionally. Rahu wants to explore and to taste and to consume and to take. Whereas Ketu is the opposite. Ketu is like the seed. Ketu is like the seed samskaras, the seed imprinting, the seed epigenetic conditioning, the seed that holds the potentials and the karmas of your previous births, as well as your lineage, as well as your entire lineage, your genetic imprinting. So it holds these seeds. And when things activate this Ketu is when it comes into fruition. And it comes into fruition many times with Ketu out of the blue, seemingly out of the blue. Wow, where did that come from? Whoa, what happened there? The reason it happened is because it was always embedded within you. But the action from the outside is what causes it to come alive at the right time. Now, in Vedic astrology, we have this amazing system to see timing of events. And this is called the Dasha system, where one planet or sign, but primarily one planet, is ruling your life over a certain time period. It's usually the dashas first, then the lord of that dasha, where it's sitting, where it's transiting, and then the transits, especially of Rahu, Ketu, and the moon. But these things all have to come together and match up for these samskaras or these seeds to come into fruition. And if you would like to see where in your birth chart you are at with your dasha, with your time period, with your transits, and what karmic seeds are coming into fruition at this time, please feel free to contact me for a Vedic astrology session using your personal birth chart so we could take a look at what's happening in your life. I've put my email below. It's visionaryveda@gmail.com. So, going back to the full moon. Now, this is also Buddha Purnima. It's the full moon under which the Buddha himself became enlightened. So it's a traditionally very auspicious full moon. It's happening in the nakshatra of Vishaka. So what I see happening, because Vishaka is symbolized by a fork in the road, a forked path. So the way I see it, those of us who are willing to look at our unconscious tendencies, who want to look at this, when we get the triggering, we are going to recognize a deep, long-held belief. And with awareness, we will question if it's really true. And the outside perception, the way we perceive the outside, a lot of times we are biased in our mental filters. And we see what's happening and we automatically attribute that as proof that what we think is real, where in reality it's not. So here's where we're going to have the option to take one way or another. We can keep going down the same path, the same loop, and continually solidify this unconscious belief. Or we're going to have awareness to recognize it in other people, as well as being triggered within us. And it's our task to take a new road, a new route into exploring what's going on. And instead of judging others, judging yourself, thinking that everything has to do with you, we can see how it's just an improper belief that we have been holding up and bolstering up throughout almost our whole lives. And it doesn't serve us. Not only does it not serve us, but it doesn't serve anybody, Libra. It doesn't serve the collective, because we are one. And the more we can liberate these unconscious imprints that are operating within us, that we are operating from, the better we can also contribute to the upliftment of the whole. Now, this is going to be the last eclipse in this axis of Scorpio. And in fact, Ketu is in Libra, but it's only in the few end degrees of Libra. So the orb between Ketu, the distance between Ketu and the moon is very short, even though it's in two different signs, okay? So this is one of the last chances we have, not forever, but for another 18 years. Actually, in 9 years, we'll also have that activated, but this time it'll be a more Rahu activation, not a Ketu, right? So it's a different flavor in Scorpio. But in 18 years, it'll come back around. But this full moon is like really one of the last chances we'll have in a while to be able to see these mechanisms at play within us, because the unconscious drives, the unconscious seed of samskara, of your karmic imprints on how you feel about yourself, what you believe to be true about yourself and others and the world, can be cleaned. It can come up for view. We can notice it without judgment, and we can choose which path to take. And we can take another path towards healing and wholeness and integration, versus just going back and continuing to bury that unconscious pattern and continuing to act from an unconscious place. Now, this is for those of us who do a lot of practice, who do want to be faced with their unconscious, that do want to unearth the unconscious mechanisms operating within us so that we can grow. But there's a lot of other people that are not at that place where they are doing that work. And this is not to judge anybody. We're all in different stages in our growth and our spiritual evolution. But there will be people that when it does come up for them, they're not prepared to own it. They're not prepared to take another path. And they will be highly reactive and highly explosive. So just be aware of that. And try to see through it and not judge people for not being aware of what's happening in their lives or unconsciously in their mind-body mechanisms, to be able to hold it. Because people have a lot of different woundings. People have swallowed a lot of different stories that are quite painful and quite hurtful to themselves and to others, but to themselves especially. When you're not ready to face these things, you react to them, or you can get defensive about them, or you can just project them outward and blame other people for your pain. We all know this to be true. So just be aware that a lot of that could be going around, and just as you can be triggered by somebody, you can also trigger somebody. Don't forget. So let's be very mindful and aware during this full moon lunar eclipse. All in all, it is an auspicious full moon, but with this eclipse and with the degree point that the moon is in, close to its debilitation, it can still be auspicious, even if it's difficult. It can show you something that you need to see that perhaps if this kind of a conflict or this sort of a trigger did not happen, you would still be carrying around. So give thanks for others. They're just reflections of ourselves. Continue to welcome these samskaras or these unconscious tendencies to rise up. Continue to do the work to encourage that cleansing of those samskaras, because what is unconscious within you is going to continue to control you until you shine the light of your awareness on it. And this full moon is going to give us all the opportunity to be able to do that. So that, my friends, is the way it is. I hope it was helpful. Have a beautiful, blessed full moon eclipse and enjoy the life. And I will see you next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.